Hey, I'm Thomas, this is Chasing a Catch. I've been boating now for about 3 years. I had a little inflatable that used to go in the boot and we pumped up when we got to the beach or the boat ramp. Now I have this small trailer boat, 4.2 metre plastic hulled trailer boat. I thought it was about time I did a bit of a run through of all the gear that I think makes life easier and things that are necessary on the boat, things for safety, things for ease, all those little bits and bobs that make small boating a better experience. The list is definitely not going to be exclusive to my boat. It will be a general list of things that will generally work and be helpful on most boats. A lot of the list is going to be safety gear, but some of that safety gear is also quite practical. So it fits both categories, the practicality and the safety side. I think number one for safety, a must-have, must always be on you, as in on your body, is a life jacket. I got a few different styles, got these standard inflatable ones, but the life jacket I wear is this, which is from Hutchwilco, and it is essentially a fishing vest with a built-in life jacket, and it is incredibly practical when you're small boat fishing because it's covered in pockets, so you can put pliers, phones, locator beacons, all that on your person, out of the way. It just gives you so much more storage. Really good for small boat fishing, a fishing vest style life jacket. Something I would never want to be out on the water without is radio communications. I actually have two versions on this boat. I have a VHF on the center console, so wired into the battery on the boat, into the electrical system, but I do have a handheld on board as well. That's probably overkill, having two radios, but I just happen to have this one, so I've kept this as backup. But also, if your boat's not compatible with a wired in one, you can get really good handheld ones. They do the trick. And that was really good actually when I had the smaller inflatable where wiring things in was not possible. Another big one for me for total peace of mind when I'm out on the water is flares. There are flares and smoke signals in here. I just bought the Powerboat Pack from RFD Flares. It's just great peace of mind knowing that's there in case I ever need it. And as another line of communication, I always make sure I have my phone on board, fully charged. I have a waterproof case as well that the phone can go in. So it's always there, ready to go, just in case I need it. The next item for safety that I have, and it is expensive but worth every penny in my eyes, is a personal locator beacon, or a PLB. You could also get an EPIRB, which you attach to the boat, is a much bigger unit. For me though, a PLB works very well. It's small, it's compact, I can keep it on my person, which with this life jacket means I can keep it in the pocket. I have it attached to the life jacket with a string, so if I ever go over or the boat ever sinks incredibly quickly, I've got it on me, I can activate it, and that there to me is worth every cent that it has cost me for peace of mind and for that added high level of safety just in case things go wrong. First aid kit is great to have on board. I can't tell you how many times I've had to dive into the first aid kit. Luckily only for basic stuff like plasters with getting cuts from fish, etc. But very, very good to have on board. Something else that's really necessary on all boats is good ropes. I have a couple on board. This one is 10 meters of rope, which sits up the front. That's just great for when you're launching, tying up to wharfs and things. But if you ever get into strife, that's long enough to be a tow rope. And I also have a secondary small rope just for, again, tying up, just in case, just one to have on board. That's only a couple of meters long. It's just a good little backup. I also carry an oar on board. This is extendable, so it comes right out to be about 1.2 meters long. Again, just another good little safety feature in case you ever need it, and can be handy for just maneuvering around. Sometimes when I'm drift fishing, for instance, the boat's not quite pointing the way I want, I can easily just get the oar out, boop, 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 give it a quick little push, and I'm facing the right way. But again, just a safety feature just in case to have on board. Something I'd highly suggest to have on board is dry bags. These are not expensive fancy ones, they're just cheapos from Kmart generally. Very, very practical. I've got fishing gear, I've got some safety gear, I've got backup clothing in there. And that does bring me to the next point, which is some warm clothes. Always, always, always have some backup clothing. For me, it's in a dry bag, but I've got a warm jacket, some hats, another t-shirt, things like that, just in case if you get wet or cold or the wind comes up and you need an extra layer. I'd way rather have it stashed somewhere on the boat than be freezing my knackers off out there. Some sort of baler on board is incredibly practical. I've just got a small molded one, so handy for bailing obviously, but cleaning down, if you just need a splash of water to clean some fish mess up or something like that, great way to just wash things down. Very helpful to have a little one of those on board. I have a fish finder on this boat, and I also had a fish finder on my little blow up inflatable. It is a luxury item as far as the fish finding element goes, very handy, but is a luxury. But what I would say, if you are getting some sort of fish finder, 100% make sure it has charts included. It is so handy having charts right in front of you all the time. If you're unable to do that, you can get them on your phone, that type of thing, but having a built-in system that you can just see the whole time you're out is really practical. The other thing I think is absolutely necessary on any boat is an anchor. Definitely a safety item, but also very practical for, obviously, for anchoring up, swimming off the boat, fishing, etc. But that's a must-have for safety reasons. If you're in real strife and you have to throw anchor just to hold the boat steady, really necessary. For anyone who's interested, that's a Danforth style that I've got on here with 3 meters of galvanized chain attached to it. It is 4.5 kilo or 10 pound, and that works really well for this 4.2 meter boat. This next one is not very useful for me, to be honest, but this is my homemade toilet idea for when I have females on board. This makes a trip for ladies so much more comfortable because obviously there's no toilet facilities generally on a tiny boat, but this covers that off. Is it a bit exposed? Does everyone have to turn their backs and shut their eyes? Yeah, but it makes life so much easier for ladies when they can just relax, get on with the day and not be worried about not drinking fluids or not having a coffee, that type of thing. I'm really happy I've added that to the boat. A good pair of pliers is very, very handy when boating. Comes in useful for many reasons, particularly with fishing purposes, and something with a built-in cutter for braid. If you're fishing with braid fishing line, get pliers with something you can cut your braid with. Very, very useful. A knife of some sort's always good. For me, having it covered, the blade covered, super helpful, particularly when I was in an inflatable boat. Always good to have a knife on board. And I have a multi-tool on board as well, just in case there's small mechanical issues, a knife goes overboard, something like that. I use my Leatherman as a backup. A pair of polarized sunglasses works wonders on the water. Can make life so much more comfortable when you're out there. Absolutely worth investing in polarized sunglasses. A roll of duct tape, very practical. When I had the inflatable boat, it was good for a rapid fire puncture repair kit. Never needed it luckily, but just in case. But that's just a really handy thing to have. Mechanical issues, gear failure, even a pretty bad injury, you could use duct tape as a very rapid and temporary bandage, etc. Really good thing to have stashed away somewhere on the boat. Some of the apps you can get on your phone now are incredibly helpful for boating. I really like Windy for wind prediction. I think it works very well. You could get Predict Wind, the Coast Guard app here in New Zealand if you're a New Zealand based boater. Very helpful, very good weather forecasts, swell maps, etc. And in line with that, a Coast Guard membership is something you shouldn't be without when you're on the water. It's cheap, it's good to support them, and it's just another line of safety if you ever get into strife. Maintenance is something that I think should never be overlooked. It's pretty expensive nowadays to get something like this serviced, but to me, again, it's a safety thing. It's worth every penny. Make sure they're up to scratch, make sure they're getting checked over by a professional, or if you've got the tools and the ability, do it yourself, but make sure maintenance is always up to scratch, and just general maintenance, washing down the trailer as much as you can, checking wheel bearings, etc. It's worth that extra time to have peace of mind and to be able to get on and off the water without worrying about breaking down or having something fall off your trailer. Pretty key. Keep up with maintenance. The last one I want to talk about is definitely a luxury item and is not practical on all boats. It's pretty hard to have one on an inflatable boat, but that is a bait board. I love this being here. It is so helpful. I can put a cooker on it for cooking. It's good for making coffees on. It's obviously good for dealing with fish. It is just an incredibly handy piece of kit, which when I got the boat, I thought, do I really need that? I use it all the time and absolutely love it. Now, I want to hear other things that you guys find practical. Hopefully you've found this video useful. I've just gone through everything that I have found useful, good for safety and practical since I got into boating about 3 years ago. Hopefully that's helped you a bit with your thought patterns on what you might need or what you should get for your boat. Thanks heaps for watching. See you on the next one. There'll be heaps of fishing videos coming up. Thanks for watching.